Summer, 16 AD. On an open plain called Idistaviso along the Weser River, 60,000 Roman soldiers faced the man who destroyed their pride. 7 years earlier, Arminius, the Germanic chieftain trained in Roman tactics, led 3 entire legions into a forest ambush. 20,000 Romans died in 3 days of slaughter. Augustus Caesar, upon hearing the news, beat his head against the palace walls, screaming, "Quintilius Verus, give me back my legions." Now Rome has returned. For 3 years, Germanicus Caesar has been leading a revenge campaign across Germania, burning villages, burying massacred legionaries. He's finally forced Arminius into open battle on terrain that favors Roman discipline. By day's end, 10 miles will be covered with Germanic corpses. Warriors will drown in the Weser. Others will climb trees to hide, only to have Roman archers shoot them down. From 9 in the morning until nightfall, the killing won't stop. But if Rome won so decisively, why did they abandon Germania forever just months later? Why was Germanicus recalled at the height of his success? The answer reveals how military victory doesn't always mean strategic success. If you love Rome's most brutal campaigns, hit that like button and subscribe. Now let me show you how this revenge began. The Teutoburg Forest, September 9th, AD. 3 Roman legions marched through dense German forest toward winter quarters, led by their trusted Germanic auxiliary commander, Arminius. What they don't know, he spent months uniting Germanic tribes for the perfect ambush. The attack lasts 3 days. Germanic warriors hit from the trees, from swamps, from everywhere. Romans can't form their battle lines in the terrain. Rain makes their equipment useless. General Verus falls on his sword as his legions disintegrate. 20,000 Romans dead. 3 legions annihilated. The captured eagles paraded through Germanic villages. Rome is so traumatized, those legion numbers are never used again. Augustus orders the frontier pulled back to the Rhine. But military disasters create political problems. The legions need to know Rome doesn't accept humiliation, and there's one man perfectly positioned to deliver that message: Germanicus Julius Caesar. Germanicus Julius Caesar. Nephew and adopted son of Emperor Tiberius, married to Augustus's granddaughter, commanding 8 legions. In 14 AD, Tiberius gives him a third of Rome's entire army with one mission: avenge Teutoburg. What follows is 3 years of brutal campaigning. Winter, 14 AD. Surprise raid on the Marsi during their religious festival. No mercy. Spring, 15 AD. Attacks on the Chatti. The Romans don't hold ground. They strike and devastate. But the most important moment happens when Germanicus reaches Teutoburg Forest. His soldiers find bones still lying where they fell 6 years ago. Skulls nailed to trees. They spend days burying their fallen comrades. Every soldier remembers why they're here. They recover the eagle of the 19th Legion. One of 3 lost standards back in Roman hands. But Arminius isn't sitting still. He ambushes Roman columns, proving he's still dangerous. Germanicus learns the crucial lesson: Arminius won't face Romans in open battle. So for 16 AD, he changes strategy. Germanicus loads his army onto 1,000 ships, sails down the Rhine, out into the North Sea, up the Ems River. He lands deep in Cherusci territory before Arminius knows they're coming. 8 legions, 40,000 heavy infantry, 26 cohorts of auxiliaries, another 13,000, 8,000 cavalry, over 60,000 soldiers converging on Arminius's homeland. Arminius has no choice. If he fades into forests, Romans will burn every village. He calls in warriors from across Germania and prepares for open battle. The location is Idistaviso, bordered by the Weser River and forest-covered hills. Arminius positions his forces in a great arc across the heights, Cherusci in the center, his uncle Inguiomerus commanding one wing. Ancient sources provide varying estimates of Germanic strength, ranging from 50,000 to 80,000 warriors. They're war bands from dozens of tribes, each with their own chiefs and equipment. Germanicus deploys in 3 deep lines. First, auxiliary infantry and archers. Second, 4 legions and Praetorian guards, with Germanicus visible in his commander's regalia. Third, more auxiliaries and reserve legions. Heavy cavalry on the left wing. It's textbook Roman preparation, turning terrain into advantage. The battle opens when Germanicus orders a cautious advance. The Cherusci break first, charging downhill with overwhelming fury. They hit the Roman auxiliaries hard, almost breaking them. Germanic warriors crash into shields, seeking gaps in armor. For a moment, it looks like the line might collapse, but the auxiliaries hold. The wings advance, catching the charge from both sides. The second line moves forward. Fresh legionaries replace tired auxiliaries with mechanical precision. Arminius leads a desperate charge against Roman archers, his face smeared with blood from a wound. He cuts through but gets surrounded by auxiliaries. His horse carries him to safety barely. The battle becomes grinding horror. Every Germanic charge breaks against Roman discipline. The cavalry emerges from the forest, hitting the Germanic right flank. Inguiomerus is wounded. Word spreads that leaders are falling. The Cherusci center, having taken catastrophic casualties, starts to waver. The rout begins. This is where the real slaughter starts. Warriors break for the Weser or the forests. Romans pursue methodically. Warriors trying to swim the river drown or die from javelins. Warriors who flee to forests, climb trees to hide. Roman archers shoot them down like birds. From 9 in the morning until nightfall, the killing continues. According to Tacitus, 10 miles are covered with Germanic corpses and weapons. Ancient sources estimate Germanic casualties between 10,000 and 20,000 dead. Roman losses appear to have been relatively light by comparison. The discipline held. The revenge is complete. Romans build a trophy on the battlefield, a pile of captured weapons with inscriptions listing defeated tribes. It's meant to humiliate. It works. The sight enrages surviving Germans so thoroughly they launch another attack, the Angravarian Wall. Somewhere between the Weser and Ems, Germanic tribes have built a defensive earthwork. Arminius, wounded but commanding, positions forces behind this wall for ambush, but Germanicus has learned. His scouts warn him. When Romans arrive, they deploy for battle, bringing up artillery. They attack the wall from multiple directions. The fighting becomes savage in the forest behind the wall, where formations are impossible. Germanicus sets up camp right on the battlefield while troops still fight. The Germans, facing superior numbers and Roman determination, eventually break. Arminius escapes again. After this second victory, Germanicus declares he wants no prisoners. The only conclusion is extermination of the Germanic tribes. Romans raise another monument, the army of Tiberius Caesar, after thoroughly conquering the tribes between the Rhine and the Elbe, has dedicated this monument to Mars, Jupiter, and Augustus. One more campaign will end Germanic resistance. Tribes are suing for peace. Arminius's coalition is broken. Then Emperor Tiberius recalls him to Rome. The official reason is that Rome's vengeance has been satisfied. Tiberius writes that Germanicus fought victorious battles, but should remember the fleet losses to storms. The Germans can be left to their internal feuds. But ancient historians, particularly Tacitus, believe the real reason was different. Germanicus has become too popular. His soldiers worship him. Romans adore him. He's commanding a third of the entire army. Tacitus claims Tiberius sees this popularity as a threat. Successful generals have turned armies against Rome before, so Tiberius makes a decision that shapes centuries. He recalls Germanicus and abandons Germania's conquest. The Rhine becomes the permanent frontier. On May 26, 17 AD, Germanicus celebrates his triumph in Rome. Massive spectacle. He rides through cheering crowds. His children ride with him, including a toddler in tiny military boots nicknamed Caligula. That child will one day be emperor. The triumph features captured Germanic leaders, including Thusnelda, Arminius's wife, and their son. They're paraded as symbols of Roman victory, then sent to Ravenna. But Arminius himself is not in the parade. The man Rome most wanted dead remains free. Germanicus accepts his reassignment to the eastern provinces. 2 years later, he dies in Antioch, under circumstances that remain controversial. Ancient sources report symptoms suggesting possible poisoning, and rumors immediately spread that either Gnaeus Calpurnius Piso or Tiberius himself had him killed. Piso was put on trial, but committed suicide, leaving the truth forever uncertain. But Germania's fate is sealed. Rome never seriously attempts to conquer east of the Rhine again. The border stays fixed. The Germanic tribes, defeated but left in their homeland, gradually rebuild. Arminius himself doesn't get a happy ending. In 21 AD, with the Roman threat ended, the Germanic tribes turn on each other. The unity Arminius created at Teutoburg and maintained through years of war falls apart. Rival chiefs, fearing Arminius's power, possibly jealous of his authority, assassinate him. According to Roman accounts, he was killed by members of his own family or faction who saw his growing authority as a threat. The man who defeated Rome's legions dies at the hands of his own people. The third lost eagle is eventually recovered in 41 AD by Roman forces from the Chauci. All three eagles come home, but Germania remains free. The historical impact ripples forward for centuries. Because Rome fixed its frontier at the Rhine instead of the Elbe, Germanic tribes east of the river remain outside Roman influence. They don't get Romanized. They maintain tribal structures and warrior culture. When Rome eventually falls, these tribes pour across the Rhine and help tear apart the Western Empire. The kingdoms they establish become foundations of modern Germany, France, and England. Idistaviso proved Rome could defeat Germanic armies in open battle. Roman discipline and equipment were superior when terrain allowed proper deployment. Germanicus recovered lost eagles and restored Roman honor. But he also proved something Tiberius suspected. Conquering Germania wasn't worth the cost. The region was too poor to be valuable. The forests and swamps made control impossible. Every mile gained required constant military presence. And Germanic tribes, even when defeated, would never stop fighting. Rome could win every battle and still lose the war of occupation. So Idistaviso becomes a lesson in the limits of military power. You can brutally defeat an enemy, slaughter them by thousands, recover your honor, and still not achieve strategic goals. Germanicus won the battle. Arminius lost. But Germania stayed free, and that changed the world. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more battles where brilliant tactics met imperial politics, and victory didn't mean what anyone expected.